Republicans make no bones about it. They think that the Biden family illicitly made money off of the Biden name and that Joe Biden was complicit in it, and they want to try and prove that. Well, they haven't come forward with any proof so far, which the Democrats say makes this a sham impeachment process.
Just tell us more about this vote. What does it mean?
Yeah, it's another impeachment related vote completely along party lines. It was every single Republican in the House voted for this next step in the impeachment process. And every Democrat, well, all bar one, who doesn't seem to have voted against, mirroring, of course, the votes that we had in the House over Donald Trump's two impeachments. And it's not a vote to impeach, but it is, as you said earlier, a vote to give extra powers to the investigating committees who are trying to get documents, trying to pull documents and witnesses into the inquiry. And I think what's really going on here is that we're seeing really the beginnings of what's going to be a very messy election year when Republicans are determined to try and get Hunter Biden and other witnesses in the spotlight during the election year, as actually Hunter Biden said that they seem to be determined to use him to attack the president. Well, that's absolutely right. I mean, Republicans make no bones about it. They think that the Biden family illicitly made money off of the Biden name and that Joe Biden was complicit in it, and they want to try and prove that. Well, they haven't come forward with any proof so far, which the Democrats say makes this a sham impeachment process. The Republicans say without this process, we can't do any more digging, so we need to step it up. And that's where we are tonight.
So they are going to be digging for more evidence. They have got more powers to try to do so. How potentially damaging is this for Joe Biden as we approach that election year?
Well, clearly, in a way, that it now depends. The stakes are a bit higher that they've got to the next stage of the process. The potential damage is that they find something. They find a smoking gun that actually proves that he's lied. He did say in the 2020 debates and elsewhere in that campaign that he had no involvement and no knowledge of his son's business affairs. Well, since then, there have been indications that he did have some knowledge. There's been photographs of him with his son's business contacts, for example, and one witness to the House inquiries thus far has said that Hunter Biden would put Joe Biden on the phone. Now, whether Joe Biden really knew what was going on when when he called up his father during business meetings is open to interpretation. But there's also the smoking email from the famous Hunter Biden laptop saying that a certain amount of profit from a Chinese business venture should be set aside for the big guy. And of course, Hunter Biden has never answered the question of who the big guy was referred to in the email. Republicans say it was clearly Joe Biden. The Democrats say it's just pure innuendo, and there's nothing to see here.
Just
Um,
to stop you for a moment, David, because people will vaguely remember the Hunter
mm,
Biden laptop.
right, yeah,
Just
sorry to throw it
remind us that
in.
of the significance of that.
Right, this was going to be the October surprise in the 2020 election. The revelation that a laptop that used to belong to Hunter Biden had fallen into Republican hands and was full of um, sordid details of Hunter Biden's private life, but also certain indications, such as the one I mentioned, that perhaps Joe Biden was more involved in Hunter Biden's business affairs than he was admitting. But it was very close to the election, and it was poo-pooed a lot in the media and by Democrats as disinformation. Well, it subsequently turned out to be an actual laptop that did belong to Hunter Biden. Democrats and the White House suggest that a lot of the information has been taken out of context or even manipulated, but That's the laptop that has been around for 4 years, kicking around for the best part of 4 years now. Probably many people have seen some of the unfortunate photographs and videos that Hunter Biden put on that laptop. But the Democrat argument is what you're mainly doing here, what you're entirely doing here, is using a son who was addicted to drugs and on a long downward spiral for several years. You're using his unfortunate private life to attack Joe Biden. And of course, since then, I mean, well, throughout, Joe Biden has stood by his son and helped him with his recovery from drug addiction, and said he's very proud of the way his son has tried to rebuild his life. He's got married, he's had a baby with his new wife, um, and the White House is still presenting, and Joe Biden is still presenting himself as the family man who stood by his wayward son, rather than the Republican narrative, which is here's a guy who went off the rails, and a byproduct of that is revealing that Joe Biden was actually involved in nefarious schemes as yet unproven.
It's a difficult one, isn't it, for Joe Biden? As you say, he prides himself on his image as a family man. He has stood by his son, helped him as he goes through rehabilitation and so on. I mean, what are we hearing from the White House tonight about how they are going to respond to the next stage of this process?
Well, so far it's the line that this is pure politics. It's another election year coming up, another attempt to use the misfortunes of Hunter Biden to uh, to attack Joe Biden and to sully his name, to drag the family through the dirt as a part of a tactic to turn voters off from the Democratic candidate who's going to be Joe Biden. And I don't think it's actually like the main factor that is the biggest problem for Joe Biden. That's clearly he's got two much bigger problems in the economy, with the benefits of the improving economy and not being felt, and the age issue. He seems very aged. I went to the Zelensky press conference yesterday, and Joe Biden's voice tailed off during the press conference into kind of a whisper, and he was really reading answers from notes, and he seemed to be rather frail. I was quite shocked actually to see him close up in that press conference. He did seem to be very tired that day. So
So there are
he's got
all,
more
yeah,
to worry about, I think,
yeah.
than this attack. As damaging as the Republicans hope this attack will also be.
Well, so he's got those questions about his age, which show no signs of going away. You've got the questions over the economy. There's now this impeachment inquiry. And we've also seen those polls, haven't we, David, suggesting that he is losing ground, particularly in some of those key swing states. And some of it is younger voters who are not happy with his stance on the Israel Gaza war. I mean, the problems do seem to be
Mm.
stacking up for Joe Biden, who at one stage was seen as very strongly the Democratic candidate who would, if it turned out to be up against Donald Trump, be the man to beat him.
Yeah, in fact, really though, since the Afghan withdrawal in the summer of 21, Biden's approval has been falling, and you're right that what's new about the latest problems is that the young vote, which was so important in 2020, there was a huge, much bigger turnout of under 35s or even under 30s in 2020 than there was in 2016. It was one of Hillary Clinton's problems. She didn't motivate the young vote very well. They really turned out for Biden. However, that doesn't seem to be panning out according to polling this time. And you're right that a number of failed initiatives, like ending student debt, for example, um, and now the Israel Gaza war against Hamas, and the very strong stance that Biden has taken to ally himself with Israel, with the Israeli offensive especially in the early days. Even they've really tried to modify this in recent weeks, the White House, but it's not cutting through with younger voters in America. They still think that the White House and Biden could be doing a lot more to stop the deaths of civilians in Gaza, and
Okay.
that's a very strong feeling that Biden took a long time to wake up to, and is really stuck at the moment with trying to get across that he his position, which is that he is intervening as much as he can with Israel to prevent civilian fatalities.